ARA History Untold version 2.0 has been officially announced, and they go even further than that. The game is now on the preview channel on Steam, and I think also on the Xbox version of the game. And there is a lot to uncover. So we will go through the official announcements, and I will explain a little bit what that means. What you're also seeing here in the background is me taking my first step into 2.0. Now, if you're asking Mo, what's your thoughts? What are all the changes? Can you give us more details? No, because 2.0 is really a remaster slash remake of a lot of the features ARA History Untold has to offer. Like, to just call it 2.0 feels a little bit like an understatement, to be completely honest. It's so much, and it would take quite a bit till I'm getting really a feeling for all the changes. And as I said, I have already taken a look at the game a little bit. I'm also quite busy in the last few days. So this is all coming together and it would take a while. Now, the good news is the patch is not coming out before the end of September, to be more precise, September 24th. So there will also be some big changes, and most of my videos will also take that long. So again, if you were just waiting for the full release, that's also where I will have more videos prepared for it. But now, with that said, let's go through the official announcements and what that actually means. The first thing is the culture and influence systems. Cities gain a new quality of life category called culture. Culture generates influence, a new currency used to acquire cultural traits and expand territory through claims. This creates meaningful alternatives to military expansion. So this is exactly what they're explaining here. You now have a new quality of life in your cities. You might have already seen it in the video. And when that is up, you are slowly generating culture points. And with the culture points, you then can buy something similar to the religious verses, right? When you have a religion, you are getting all those buffs you can choose from. And they're basically doing something similar with the culture points, where you have a list of buffs you can just get, and then you can spend culture on it. And you can also now, and this is similar to Civilization 6, right? When somebody builds a city close to you, you can basically use your culture to say, I don't think so, bro. That's a city very close to my cities, and I have claims on this territory, and I have the culture and the power basically to say, nah, I'm just taking that from you. I'm just taking that from you, right? Of course, with that said, that doesn't necessarily mean that the AI is agreeing on that, so keep that in mind. But this is a new way to get more land without having to go to war, because let's be real here, we probably had all those rounds where you were playing against the AI. They are founding a city super close to your cities, and you're like, dude, you were coming from a different continent and you built a city here? That's so dumb, and I cannot really do anything besides of declaring war to you, and that sucked. So that's something new and exciting to test out. I haven't done it yet. Also, speaking about like meaningful alternatives, they are also introducing the agitator. That's the word. Agitator unit, introduced with the revolutions technology at the end of the Renaissance. Agitators can be sent to adjacent foreign regions to steer rebellion, and through influence bring those territory into your nation. This unlocks a second form of conquest in Act 2, ideological subversion. So it's very similar to the influence system, and I'm kind of interested to see how powerful that unit is. Speaking about units, they are also introducing per nation units. Every civilization now commands unique historical forces, from Mongol horse archers to Japanese samurai, adding tactical depth and flavor. So I always saw a lot of people complaining about this when they're coming from Civ, and they're saying, hey, where are my special units for the nation I am playing? Well, good news, they are now coming, and they will be unlockable in a certain age, and they will be quite powerful in comparison. They will also play to the strengths of the leaders. Looks definitely interesting, and I'm curious to see how that plays out. Next, speaking about leaders, there is the leader redesign. Every leader has been reimagined with unique mechanics, traits, and abilities, ensuring more replayability and personality-driven diplomacy. So, I have taken a look at all the leaders, and they're not kidding. They took every leader in the game and basically redid everything. Now, there are one or two leaders which still kept like one or two abilities, but most of them, they all got reworked. They all do something different. And I think one of the most meaningful changes they already did is, remember the debuffs, right? Where when you were choosing a leader, you would get like maybe a debuff to balance out their strong perks. And unfortunately, the debuff was sometimes too much. Well, good news. The debuffs are gone. Well, kind of. Most of the debuffs are gone. There are still some debuff perks, but they are automatically coming with something positive in it. So, like you are losing, I don't know, 10 happiness when you were starting a war because you were peaceful, but while you were not at war, you were getting more production or something like that out of it. So there's always a positive note in the debuff node, right? So it's much more balanced. And as I said, everything else got completely reworked. What the perks do, what the special abilities do. It's quite a big deal. And yeah, we will have to go through that at some point, but it is a lot. The next is priority, quota, and crafting system. Micromanagement production queues are replaced with smarter stockpile and priority controls, freeing players to focus on high-level strategy. So I saw this, and I saw a lot of comments where people were saying, oh no, please don't remove the crafting. This is what makes ARA different. And people were concerned. So the good news is that's not what's happening. I know this sounds a little bit weirdly worded and not really in detail, but that was one of the first thing I actually looked up, and nothing really has changed. Like, it seems like they have more automated systems now in place that you don't have to go through all the time and click on the stuff you want to add, right? um it's basically a continuation of the system they put into the game with 1.4, right? To make a lot of more things or items you can craft more automated in the end. So, no, don't you worry, your crafting is not disappearing. Building up your nation with tons of items and all that, it's not disappearing. It's just a bit of quality of life upgrades here. So, nothing crazy. Next thing is the adaptive AI. A more dynamic and personality-driven AI responds to player performance, making diplomacy, warfare, and resource management more challenging and believable. They had a blog post about this a week ago, and they are completely rewriting the AI and how it works, because the problem, or the big problem, was for ARA in its lifetime and its development stages changed quite a bit as a game, right? And because of that, they always had to rewrite the AI, but that also led to problems. And when the game was gearing up for release, the AI was one of the last things which were basically got added to the game. And now they completely redo the AI, and it sounds very promising. Another big feature you can now activate is adaptive AI, which allows the AI to react to what you were doing, right? So when they're realizing, oh shoot, that player is on a different level, I have to change my approach, that's what the AI will now do. Of course, you can't deactivate that if you don't want that, right? If you want that the AI stays on a certain level, then you can do that. It's just another feature they're adding. They're also doing a map generation overhaul, realistic natural resources clustering, plus new exclusivity rules, modeling historical trade and competition. So I haven't really seen too much about it yet, but it was definitely one of my bigger concerns with 1.4 that resources just felt not good and how they were clustered and how you could get them, especially when it came to some very important resources you sometimes needed, like iron. And if you were unlucky, you didn't have enough iron on your continent, right? So I have to see if this is just something they introduced with 1.4 or if this is something else they changed. They also did visual updates and made everything sharper. Yes, yes, I can say that. Like that was definitely the first thing I was noticing when I was starting up the game and I was starting on the map. I was like, man, maybe I don't need glasses anymore. That's fantastic. So I immediately realized that everything looked sharper and even the map and stuff looked a little bit better, which I highly appreciate. They also did major engine optimization, deliver faster runs, smoother frame rates, and reduce CPU usage. I really hope so. I have to do more tests, especially later on in the game when there's really a lot of stuff going on the screen. But that was definitely one of the bigger issues ARA has. Like, the game was hammering the CPU, and a lot of people had issues because of that. And then, of course, going beyond 30 FPS, especially later on in the game, was, even with good PCs, harder than you imagined. So this all sounds fantastic. As I said, I'm already doing some tests and I'm going through it. But even if you're just managing 10 minutes in the game, you immediately realize this is different. Like, big, big different.
Uh,
And at least my first thoughts are like, if they can keep this up and this is all playing out, then man, this game, if it gets a second chance with a big chunk of the community and a big chunk of the turn based community, this could be it. So I'm looking forward to it. With that said, I keep you posted, of course, and then I will be back with more infos later down the road. With that said, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like. And also, if you're new to the channel, you love strategy games, building and management games, and of course, ARA History Untold, then I would appreciate if you might consider to subscribe to the channel because it also helps me out. Speaking about helping me out, if you want to go above and beyond that, there's also a link down below in the video description, which is for the membership here on YouTube, where you can spend $5 a month to not just get a trebuchet next to your name, but also getting some fantastic emotes you can then utilize. And again, it helps me out directly. Oh, and one more thing, you don't see ads on my channel. So if that is something you desire, then maybe you want to join the membership program. I would appreciate that. With that said, have a good one. Stay safe. Bye bye.